Could you please give us a quick update as to the recent developments in the Barbershop murder case, the Barrington Cornwall case?
Went through the paper committal and he was committed to trial in the High Court.
The murder case resulting from the August 4th Barbershop killing has moved one step closer towards securing a trial date on the Vincentian High Court calendar. Defense attorney Grant Connell worked along with summary prosecutor Shamrock Pierre, an acting police corporal with the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, in the presence of Chief Magistrate Rechanne Browne, to excise all potentially prejudicial or otherwise inflammatory elements from witnesses' statements at the Serious Offences Court on Friday, October 15th, in a process called paper committal. Several exhibits were also formally entered and marked as evidence. They include a post-mortem examination, charge sheet, caution statement, a black knife said to be the murder weapon, a DVD bundle which comprises crime scene video, CCTV footage of the incident, as well as the post-arrest electronic interview, 4 pieces of a broomstick, and a white towel. At the end of that exercise, Barrington Cornwall, the barber who stands accused of murdering insurance broker Jexol Skinner, was committed to stand trial at the next practical sitting of the High Court Assizes. This judicial feat was accomplished in far less time than is usually experienced in other murder-accused cases, particularly Junior Jarvis's almost 5 years on remand with no trial date as yet in sight stands in stark contrast.
This paper committal process basically negated the need for a preliminary inquiry.
Yeah, it's slowly becoming outdated. Preventing the backlog in cases and getting a man to the High Court so that he can have his trial. Yeah.
And this took you less than what 2 months?
Took the system. The system is working. I don't know, less than 3 months, 10 weeks, somewhere there. Yeah.
How many witnesses are to be called in this?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. And was there a particular date set for the actual trial at the High Court, or
no? That'll be set by the High Court. So hopefully before the end of the year, so the DPP can come and put forward their case.
One last question. The process today, I noticed the court, the officers went through the statements. They weren't necessarily read through in entirety, but yeah. There's some...
We're just going through for anything prejudicial, hearsay, etc., and preparing it for the higher court. Easier process, quicker, as you see, less than 10 weeks. So he'll have his day in court soon.
My name is Shamrock Pierre. I'm a summary prosecutor at the DPP's office. I'm actually a police officer for 18 years plus and hold the position of an acting corporal for 4.5 years now.
Okay. In your career, have you had an opportunity to go through that whole paper committal process before, or how many times have that been done, as far as you know?
Yes, well, I would have done paper committal matters before.
Okay. Based on your experience, what would you advocate for more, paper committals or preliminary inquiries?
Well, I believe that the paper committal process is a faster way to get the matter to the High Court for trial. Now, the paper committal is, in simpler words, is a trial where the magistrate doesn't have to, she's not required to assess the evidence, more so than to just the evidence that is before her. She's not required to assess it, but to just, as we say, we take out the hearsay or the prejudicial part of the evidence and just commit it to the High Court. So it is a faster process in order for the accused to get swifter justice, so to speak. But for this trial in particular, I think we have about 10 to 11 witnesses, I believe, that we will be calling at the High Court stage.
Cornwall still faces a murder charge, though Connell, in an earlier situation updates, briefly highlighted some concerns regarding the indictment that his client is currently fighting against.
You have to understand that the press sometimes get it wrong. murder here, murder there, murder everywhere. In the eyes of the law, you know, when an individual commits an act resulting in the death of another, it's not always murder in the eyes of the law. You know, so we have to get it right.
Lawyer Jomo Thomas agrees that the severity of the charge that was laid can be reduced even as the trial gets underway, though no such overtures have been made thus far in Cornwall's case.
I said it happens pretty frequently. And it happens because I think sometimes there may be an overzealous prosecutor who may, or the police may jump ahead and make that charge. And when you look at all of the evidence, you may be able to come up with the conclusion that the information before of the witnesses don't support charge of murder. And a prudent prosecutor, a prudent director of public prosecution, in the interest of justice, decide not to bring up the higher charge of murder and reduce the manslaughter.